The night you stopped handing him your piece did not look brave. It looked quiet. It looked like you getting tired of another man deciding what kind of night you were allowed to have. He did not have to yell. He did not have to leave. He just had to keep love uncertain. That was enough. A sweet message in the afternoon, a dry answer at night, a plan he would not confirm. That way he made you feel close, then foolish for believing you were close. You know the kind of night I mean. You put your phone down and picked it back up 10 minutes later. You told yourself you would not check again, then checked anyway. You stood in the kitchen pretending to do something small because sitting still made it worse. Even the sound of a message from someone else made your chest jump before you saw it was not him. That is not peace. That is a woman living around a man's moods. And the hard part is this. You were not waiting because you are weak. You were waiting because he taught you to. He gave just enough warmth to keep you hoping the cold part was temporary. So every quiet night felt like a test. Be patient. Be understanding. Do not ask too much. Do not ruin the mood. Do not let him feel pressured. Little by little, your calm stopped belonging to you. It started belonging to whether he replied kindly, whether he sounded off, whether he disappeared for 3 hours and came back acting normal, whether tonight felt safe or strange. That is when something in you began to wake up. Not because he changed, because you finally saw how much of your night was starting to move around his uncertainty. How one man, with one careless pattern, could turn a whole evening heavy, could make you swallow your words, act fine, and call that love. And once you see that clearly, it gets harder to keep defending the thing that keeps hurting you. You did not hand him your piece in one big dramatic way. You handed it over in small excuses. That is how women stay too long. You kept telling yourself he was just tired, just stressed, just not good on the phone, just going through something. You kept making his behavior sound smaller so you would not have to face what it was doing to you. Those excuses were not foolish. They were your way of making his behavior hurt less. Because the other option was harder. The other option was admitting that a man who said he cared could still leave you sitting on the edge of the bed at night, looking at the same screen, reading one dry reply twice, trying to find warmth that was no longer there. So you helped him in your own mind. When he pulled back, you said he probably had a lot on his plate. When he went quiet after being sweet, you told yourself not to overreact. When he gave you just enough attention the next day, you treated that small relief like proof that nothing was wrong. That is how the trap kept working. Not because you were blind, because every little excuse bought you one more day where the truth did not have to fully land. Maybe you even heard yourself saying things you did not believe. He is just bad at expressing himself. He has a lot going on right now. He does care. He is just different. But your body knew better. Your stomach got tight when his name showed up. Your mood changed over one message. You started preparing yourself before opening the chat, like a woman bracing for weather she cannot trust. That is not love getting stronger. That is your mind working overtime to make uncertainty feel reasonable. And when a woman gets used to doing that, she does not just excuse him. She starts walking away from what she already knows. This is the part you need to stop dressing up. He was not just hard to read. He was training your whole life to bend around his uncertainty. You were not simply having a bad night here and there. Your days started getting built around whether he felt warm or distant. A man like that can make a woman lose hours without touching her, without yelling, without saying one cruel thing straight. You felt it in small, ugly ways. You woke up already tense, wondering if he would be warm or cold that day. You checked your phone before you even got out of bed. You read his tone before you read his words. A short answer could sit in your chest all morning. Then you went to work, answered people, smiled when needed, and still carried that private heaviness like something had already gone wrong. That is a real cost. It is a cost when your appetite changes because one man went cold again. It is a cost when you leave a message unsent, then rewrite it softer, then delete it because you do not want to seem difficult. It is a cost when you cannot even enjoy a quiet evening properly because part of you is listening for a sound, waiting to see if he will suddenly act loving again and let your body relax. Do you see what happened? Your peace became temporary. Your calm became conditional. Your own house, your own bed, your own evening stopped feeling fully yours because his inconsistency kept walking into the room with you. It is that you started treating your reaction like the problem. You acted like you needed to be less sensitive, less affected, less in need of something basic. Meanwhile, the basic thing was simple. You wanted to feel steady with the man you cared about. There is nothing unreasonable about that. But when you get used to uncertainty, you start calling it normal. And once that happens, shame comes right behind it. Now shame starts talking. It tells you that you stayed too long because you were desperate, that you kept caring because you had no pride, that you should have seen it sooner and walked away cleaner, quieter, stronger. No, that is not the truth. You were trying to make it mean something. That is what hurt women do. They do not just miss the man. They keep reaching for an explanation that lets the pain feel less wasteful. You wanted the effort, the waiting, the nights you lay there staring at the ceiling, all of it, to lead to something real. You wanted proof that all that waiting had meant something. That does not make you pathetic. It makes you human. A woman can sit in a parked car for 10 extra minutes before going inside, just trying to steady her face. She can hear his name in her phone and feel two things at once, relief and dread. She can tell her friend, "It is fine," then go quiet the second the call ends because deep down she knows it is not fine at all. None of that means she is weak. It means she got attached to something that kept changing shape in her hands. Not because he became some great mystery, because he gave enough to matter, but not enough for you to rest. That kind of man leaves a woman arguing with herself. One part of her says, "Look at what this is doing to you." The other part says, "Maybe tomorrow will feel different." So she stays in the middle and starts blaming herself for not handling it better. But you were never supposed to get good at living like that. You were not asking for too much. You were asking for a kind of steadiness he was not giving. And when that finally sinks in, the question is no longer why you cared so much. The real question becomes what you do with what he already showed you. You do not come back to yourself by winning him over one last time. You come back the night you stop asking his behavior to give you permission to feel calm. That step is small. Smaller than most women think. It is not a speech. It is not blocking him in a burst of anger. It is not pretending you feel nothing. It is simply this. When he goes unclear again, you stop building your evening around it. You stop sitting there trying to decode a dry reply. You stop telling yourself to wait a little longer before accepting what is already happening. You stop reopening the chat like the next look will hurt less than the last one. Maybe that night still hurts. Of course it does. You may still miss him. You may still feel the pull to reach out. Explain yourself better. Try one more soft message that makes him finally meet you properly. But this is where you put a hand on your own shoulder and tell yourself the plain truth. A man who keeps disturbing your peace is already telling you what kind of place you have in his life. Listen to that. Not the warm moments, not the almost. Not the part that made you hope. Listen to the pattern. Maybe your small step is leaving the phone in the other room and taking your tea to bed without him. Maybe it is not canceling your own plans because he might suddenly appear. Maybe it is letting his silence stay with him instead of turning it into something your heart has to solve. That is how it starts. Not with power, with refusal. A quiet refusal to keep handing your peace to a man who has not been careful with it. You were not stupid for caring. You were not wrong for wanting love to feel steady. But now you know this. If you can only feel okay when he acts right, he still has too much power over your night. So tonight, do one honest thing. Let what he already showed you be enough.